We have a problem. This thing runs like poopy. We need to fix it. So that's what we're going to do today. We are going to figure out why this thing is running like crap. Now, if you've seen our previous videos, if you've been keeping up, following along, then you kind of have an idea of what I'm talking about. If not, if you're new here, thanks for tuning in. Basically, we've got a cylinder 8 issue with this thing. I believe it is most likely low on compression, but that's what we're going to find out today. I'm hoping it's not. However, if it is, we're probably just going to throw a Cummins in this thing, because that would be cool. And like I said before, I've got an idea of how I want to do the Cummins swap, and basically I would be using a 48 RE transmission out of a Dodge as well, and pretty much do away with the full Ford Power Stroke drivetrain. So hopefully, I say hopefully we don't have to go that route. I wouldn't be against it. I think it'd be a lot more fun. We could build a lot more power and it'd actually be usable. But yeah, that's where we're at. So we're gonna dive off into this thing, do a compression test, see what's going on with it, and go from there. Lucky for us, we've got a really good diesel tech with us today. He's gonna be along our side, helping us out every step of the way, making sure that we don't mess anything up on this prime, beautiful unit here. But allow me to introduce to you guys our master diesel tech. His name is Dax. You gonna help us today, buddy? Yeah? Okay. He's a man of very few words, but he's full of wisdom and knowledge, so luckily we have him to help us figure out what's going on. Enough chit chat. Let's get down to business. Let's fire this thing up, get it moved around so that we have a little bit better working spot, and also see how she does after she's been sitting for probably three weeks, a month maybe. This thing hasn't been started, so we'll see. I wouldn't really call it a cold start. It's like 65 degrees out today, so it's plenty warm. I don't think it's gonna have any issues starting, but it's definitely gonna be smoky. Not a good smoky either. All right, let's see what this thing's got. Woo! Spicy. What you thinking? You really don't have much to say. I mean, it's smoking a little bit, but that's the part I don't understand is, I mean, I kind of do and I kind of don't, and I have a theory, but it doesn't smoke hardly at all when it's cold. But once it gets kind of up into operating temperature, it starts getting a little bit hotter, then it really starts to smoke. And the only thing I can think is we've got bad rings, and so as the cylinder heats up, those rings don't move or expand. I don't know, maybe you guys might have a better idea, but that's kind of my theory on it as far as how that, because I mean, look, as you can see, it's starting to get warmer obviously from running. And it's got just a tiny bit more smoke, but it just progressively gets worse. And then you'll hear the cylinder drop out, and so yeah, that's where I'm a little lost, and I think a compression test is going to tell us a lot of that as far as where our issue may lie, whether it's got good compression and we have an issue with the injector harness, or something along that route, or we just have low compression and the cylinder's just toast. So we're gonna move it over, get it kind of in a better spot, and hook that up, and we'll go through all that and see where we're at. Alright, so in order to do this, we're going to need obviously a compression tester, which we have here, which should have all of the pieces we need. It's a little bit different than a gas vehicle. On a gas engine, you would just pull out the spark plugs and put the compression tester straight in there. This model of diesel didn't come with spark plugs. I don't know why. I don't know what happened to them, but they just don't exist. So instead, we're going to go through the glow plugs. And to do that on this side, it's going to be a lot easier if we just go ahead and pull this wheel well out, or this fender liner, which honestly needs to come out anyways because it's nasty and it needs to be cleaned up. We're going to pull that out to get some more room. Although since I'm only pulling one, well, I don't know, I haven't decided. I want to do a compression test across the whole bank, but I may just start with the first one just to see where we're at, and then if it's obviously low, if it's like 50 psi, then we know we don't really need to, test the other 3 on this side. So I'm going to start with that one, and instead of pulling the fender liner out to do all that, I'm just going to try and reach down in here and get to this one. If it looks like it's good or it's close and we need to test the other 3, then I'll pull the fender liner out and we'll continue that way. So I don't know. I don't really have much of a game plan for that yet, so bear with me here. Let's see what we can find. That explains a lot. This is our glow plug, and if you can tell, it is literally soaked in oil. I mean soaked in oil. So how this thing's not hydro locking is beyond me, because this is nasty. This is not what you want to see in a cylinder. This is kind of sad. Kind of makes me sad a little bit, yeah. So I don't know. I guess there could be a few reasons why we'd have oil in here. Obviously, reason number 1 would be a hole in the piston. Reason number 2 could be some bad rings. Reason number 3 could possibly be valves. Don't quote me on that. Let me know if I'm wrong. I could definitely be wrong. I don't claim to be a scientist here, or a king of working on things. I don't know what I'm trying to say. Anyways, what I'm trying to get at is something is definitely wrong, and I really would like to find out why. So we might have to break out the Borescope, take a look inside the cylinder, and kind of see what's going on. I'm still going to hook the compression tester up just to see, but I really don't want to get all that oil in my compression tester, so I don't know. Maybe I'll put a rag over it and try and blow a lot of it out, and then hook the compression tester up. May not make a difference, but that's what we're going to try first. So that's stupid. Alright, so as you saw there, we just did a compression test on cylinder 8 and we saw just shy of 150 psi. Now, from what I remember and what I've seen, these are supposed to be around 350, 370, so we're just a little over, less than half of what we're supposed to be. I think I'm going to go ahead and test the other 3 cylinders on the driver's side bank. So I'm not going to pull the fender liner. It's pretty easy just to get to these as long as we can get the grommets out for the glow plugs. They can be a bear sometimes. I know a lot of guys fight them. I have never pulled them on this truck, minus this one we just pulled. So I don't know how much of a bear that's going to be. It could be bad, could be easy. Who knows? Everything about 6.0s are not always easy, but it is what it is. That's the fun of it, right? But yeah, that kind of sucks because, you know, part of me was really hopeful that it wasn't low on compression and we did just have something else going on. However, the real question is, why is it low on compression? And that could be for a handful of reasons. But before we go any further diving into that one cylinder, I would, again, like to get a baseline of where we're at with the rest of the cylinders. So I'm going to go ahead and pull this glow plug harness off, get it out of the way, start pulling the glow plugs out, and we'll, you know, test the other 3 cylinders, see where we're at. Then from there, we'll Borescope it, and depending on how it looks after the Borescope, if we can't find anything on the piston or see any issue with the rings, then we'll hook the cylinder leak down test to it and see if it's coming through the crankcase or if it's coming through the cooling system or if it's coming through the valve cover. And one of those 3 reasons, or one of those 3 places, will give us a really good idea of where the issue is. If it's coming through the cooling system, then we know we most likely have a head gasket issue, but that doesn't necessarily explain our oil. So that, and we don't have oil in the cooling system. So I'm not really leaning towards that. I would imagine that if it was coming through the valve cover, that could make a lot of sense, which I would rather it come through the valve cover. I think that would be probably the best scenario or best case possible, because then that just means that we need to pull the head off and have the head reworked, or maybe we have a crack in the head, something like that. That wouldn't be quite as big of a deal. If it's coming through the crankcase, which would make the most sense due to the blow-by that we have, then I'm just, you know, pretty much going to say it's safe to say that this motor's dusted, which I kind of, you know, was already leading to anyways. But I'd really like to figure out 100% what's going on with this thing before we try to make any changes or try to say this will fix it when it may not, because we didn't correctly diagnose it or, you know, do the right proper steps to see what was going on with it. So that's where we're at. That's what we're going to jump into. Go ahead and get these glow plug harnesses off, get the glow plugs out, and go from there. So woo! Got lucky on that one. I did not want to pull that by the wire, but you know what? Sometimes it is what it is. And sometimes you got to do things that you're not proud of. So let's try it again. That one, not so much. Dude, it's like my lucky day. I need to go buy a lottery ticket. This doesn't happen. Four for four, baby. I'm going to Wendy's. Well, that one's gone. Adios. It had oil on it too, I saw. So does this one. What the heck? These all do. All three of these are covered in oil as well. Let's see if I can get you some light here. And then this one on the far right, well, now in the middle, came out of cylinder number 1. Well, I guess it'd be cylinder number 2. Come on, focus, camera. What is going on here? There we go. I don't know why my camera won't focus on it, but let me drop these other ones. There we go. Look at all that sludge. Nasty. So this is looking worse than what I was originally even thinking, but this is exactly why I wanted to pull these other three so that we could see what the rest of the engine on this side looks like. I am going to go ahead and hook the compression tester up all the way up from 6 and 4 and 2 and see what they all read and what they look like. Again, we know we had about 150 on cylinder 8. Let's see what we have on the rest. Alright, so as you guys saw there, we did a compression test on every cylinder on the driver's side bank, and I started to get excited and hopeful that maybe cylinder 8 was our only issue, and that if that was the case, then we could repair it, and after we figured out what was wrong with it, and go from there, we'd have a good, healthy running motor, yada yada yada. No. So, as you saw, once we got to cylinder 2, it was low on compression as well. I think that one was somewhere around 270, which, as you saw the others, they pegged out the compression tester, which I need to get one that will read up to like 600 or at least 400 for diesel stuff, because obviously they're a lot higher compression. But yeah, so that was kind of depressing to see cylinder 1 has an issue too, because we really haven't seen any signs of issues with cylinder 1 outside of that glow plug that we pulled out that had all the sludge on it. As far as running and driving, cylinder 1 seemed to be, pretty good. Never had a code or anything for contribution fault, anything like that. The only other problem is all the cylinders, as you saw, had oil all over the glow plugs. So I don't know if that's a head issue or if our bottom end is just so far gone that, there's an issue there, but that doesn't make sense either because 4 and 6 had good compression. So I don't know. I'm kind of torn, and it sucks because we just got, I say new, we're going to say brand used interior for this thing. So if you didn't catch our Razor video that we did last, basically a good buddy of mine, Matt, which y'all have seen Matt, y'all know Matt if you follow along, he was able to hook me up with these carbon fiber door panels that are literally flawless. They need a little bit of cleaning, but I mean, outside of that, these things are in freaking awesome condition. And we got some bucket seats, man. I love bucket seats. I kind of missed my bench seat a little bit, but yeah, we got bucket seats. We still need to bolt down our center console, but we do have a center console that matches. I still haven't quite decided if I would rather have a center console out of a 6.4. It's a little bit bigger, a little bit more roomy, and it kind of fills up the space a little bit better. If I can find a gray center console with a black leather lid, then that's probably the route I'll go. But in the meantime, this looks a whole lot better and it works. So yeah, at least now we've got some comfy seats to sit in when we're broke down on the side of the road. But that's neither here nor there. But yeah, I was really excited that today we were going to find some good positive news. But unfortunately, that's not the case. But that's how it goes with these things. So now it's just kind of a matter of, do we replace this power plant with a Cummins? Or do we tear this one apart, pull it out, and pull that one out and pull it apart, and see which one's in better shape, and go from there? With all that being said, I still would like to know what happened here. So we're going to throw the Borescope in each one of the cylinders, get a good look at everything that's going on. I'll get some footage of that for you guys, and maybe we can see what happened, whether there's a hole in the piston, a crack, if we can see anything with the rings, or anything along those lines that kind of leads us to what caused the problem. So yeah, let's jump into that. Alright, so it's been about a week since we were last working on this. Last thing you guys probably saw, we were about to stick the Borescope down into the cylinders. Unfortunately, my Borescope, the camera head on it was too thick and it wouldn't fit down in the glow plug cylinder hole. So since then, I've ordered another one, and hopefully it's got a much smaller camera head that'll fit down in there. So we'll find out here in just a minute. But on the flip side of that, I've been doing a lot more research over the last week, and I'm not going to say I've decided against putting a Cummins in it, but for the effort, it doesn't quite make as much sense anymore. I priced everything out between a Cummins, down to the penny of everything that would need to be done, and compared both of them to rebuild this engine how I want to rebuild it and make the power level I want, versus building just swapping a Cummins with all the swap stuff and everything I would need. The price is about the same. So I think it'd be cool just to retain the 6.0, obviously. I mean, I love the sound of 6.0s, you can't beat them, and that was kind of the whole purpose of this truck. So probably not going to go the Cummins route. Anyways, enough of Cummins. We don't want to talk about Cummins anymore. In my research, I also figured out that the oil on these is common, and it's not from the cylinder itself. It's from when you unbolt them and you go to pull them out, they just naturally have oil that builds up around them, and it just drips down. From what I've read, because I was kind of concerned about all the oil that was on the glow plugs, but I guess that's common when you pull them out. So if you guys have any insight on that, definitely let me know. I'd like to think that that's what it is, that it's just when you pull them out, the oil just dripped down and that was it. But yeah, so we're about to throw the Borescope down in here, and hopefully we can see something cool. Alright, so as you can see, we just stuck the Borescope down cylinder 8 and cylinder 2, and on the camera itself of the Borescope, I didn't really see anything that stuck out. Cylinder 2 looks very clean for the most part. Cylinder 8 looks a little dirty, but it was kind of hard to get any light in there and really see, so if it looks different on the computer once I upload it, I'll definitely let you guys know right here. But yeah, so it told us, from what I can tell, that we don't have a cracked piston or a big old chunk of the piston missing, or anything like that. So that leads me further towards rings, but again, we could still have some kind of valve issue. So now what I want to do is go ahead and hook up the cylinder leak down test, and that'll give us a better idea of kind of where we're at. I know I said earlier in the video you had 3. You had your valve covers, your crankcase, and your cooling system, which I was actually wrong, which isn't surprising. Anyways, so don't take my advice. I'm just here for fun. Yeah. Anyways, the third one, instead of it being the valve cover, because that's technically part of your crankcase, but some could argue that it's different, because if you get it from the valve, it tells you it's the head, whatever. Anyways, the third one is actually your exhaust. If you hear it coming from the exhaust, then that could be a valve issue as well. So it does kind of go hand in hand, but that's what we're about to look for. We're going to see whether, when we set the piston at top dead center, on whichever one we're at, we're going to be on a compression stroke, so that all the valves should, in theory, be closed and seated. This way it shouldn't lose any air. If we do lose air, which I'm 99% sure we're going to lose a good bit of air, when we do, we should be able to figure out where it's coming from, and that'll really tell us, without having to dive into the engine, kind of where our issue lies. So that's what we're going to get into now, and we'll see what happens. Alright, so we have cylinder 8 at TDC, so what I'm going to do now is hook this up, get our leak down tester hooked up, and see where we're at. Alright, so we've got 70 psi going into the cylinder, and as you can see here on our easy read gauge, we've got just shy of 100% leak, which is not exciting to see. So I'll wait for my air compressor to kick off, so hopefully we can hear where it's coming from. Alright, so we just saw that it's definitely leaking air. We know that. I checked the exhaust, nothing coming through there. I checked the cooling system, nothing coming through there. When I pull the oil cap off, I can hear just a little bit of air coming through. But if I'm not mistaken, you should have a little bit that gets past the rings, I think, for the relief. I could be wrong on that, but it wasn't enough to really concern me, I guess. The bulk of what I was hearing sounds like it's coming from the valve cover area, somewhere around there, maybe the head. I'm not really sure. So the next step is going to be to get all this crap out of our way, pull the valve cover off, and try it again with the valve cover off and see if we can hear or notice anything, you know, kind of either out of place or get a better idea. So now we kind of know to head towards the valve cover. So that's what we're going to do next. So we got the valve cover off. We went ahead and pulled the oil rail off as well. It gets easier the more you do it, but I don't think I'll ever enjoy pulling a valve cover on a 6.0 unless maybe the cap is off. It's just getting to the back of it's pain, but it's overall not that bad. Anyways, the point of this, we've got our cylinder leak down tester hooked back up. So we're gonna go ahead and give air to it and see if we can find anything on top that may be giving us our problem. So let's see how that goes. Well, I think we took the valve cover off for no reason. That's okay. I'd rather check and be safe than sorry, but I think the sound I was hearing was just the air going into the cylinder. Yeah, so we're gonna throw all that back together, but it definitely sounds like it's coming from the crankcase side of things, which is, you know, what we expected. And pretty certain the rings are toast. Maybe they're broke, maybe they're, I don't know. Part of me has always been hopeful that they just haven't released from sitting for so many years, but I don't know if that's the case or not. Yeah, I'm kind of bummed because I really didn't want to have to pull this engine and do all this, but it's okay. We're gonna make it better. So with that being said, I believe that is the next step in our journey, is to get this motor out, break it down, and see what's going on with it, and we'll go through everything and see where we're at. So I think that's going to be it for today. I appreciate you guys watching. If you haven't already, like and subscribe, and hopefully I'll see you next time.